It's been almost 6 months since this got released, so I'm way behind the curveball on this. But hey, better late than never. Right? Right? Let's talk about Proxmox Datacenter Manager. What is Proxmox Datacenter Manager? It is an open source alternative to VMware suite of tools like vCenter. So vCenter allows you to manage multiple ESXi clusters at the same time and even individual ESXi hosts. Proxmox Data Center Manager aims to do the exact same thing eventually. It's still an alpha release. It's rough around the edges, but we are going to spin it up. We're going to spin up a lab network, and then we'll play around with it and see how exactly Proxmox Data Center Manager works. So in order to get Proxmox Data Center running, you kind of need some Proxmox hosts running already, right? Not necessarily to install Data Center Manager, but you can't manage Proxmox hosts if you don't have Proxmox hosts available. So go ahead and do that. In my case, I have some test nodes I'm going to clone out and get spun up. And then we're going to walk through the install process of Proxmox Data Center Manager and how to get your nodes added inside of Data Center Manager. Okay, so we now have both our test nodes spun up, and if we were to log into one of them, like I've already done for PV test 2, and we do a quick refresh, you'll see that we just have a regular Proxmox cluster. There's no virtual machines or containers running inside of here. What we then want to do is get Proxmox Data Center Manager spun up to manage this, and then we're going to spin up a third node and also add that, and you'll see some of the features of Data Center Manager. In order to get Proxmox Data Center Manager installed, you first have to get it downloaded. So let's do Proxmox Data Center Manager, and we come back here to Data Center Manager. All right, and on the Proxmox forum, you'll see an ISO link. And when you click that, you'll see Data Center Manager 01.alpha.iso. You'll click that, and hold on here. Okay, so it'll then prompt you to save as. All right, drop it in your downloads and save. And we'll give that a few minutes for it to download. Okay, so the download is now completed. And what we're going to do is go ahead and get it uploaded back again to our Proxmox node. So you go to local, ISO images, upload, select file. You'll then choose Proxmox Data Center Manager, hit upload. You just let it upload. All right, and with that, you are done. Then we have to create a new virtual machine. Then we have to create a new virtual machine. So we'll just go ahead and click create. Type in a random ID. In our case, it's going to be 2003. We'll call this DC Manager. Next, we'll want this to be on local storage with the Data Center Manager image, and select Linux. Enable QEMU agent, go to disks. When it comes to Linux hosts, I just do SATA because it's just a regular SSD, and then I do SSD store for my SSD storage. You're going to give this write through cache and enable SSD emulation as well as discard. Go ahead and click next. Give this 4 CPUs of host. Give it 4 gigs of RAM with 4096. Drop it on your regular network and hit confirm. And then give that a second or two for Proxmox to do its thing and create the guest. All right. So we now have the console session pulled up for our Data Center Manager install. We can just walk through the install like normal. Go ahead and click install Proxmox DC. And this install is basically like the same thing as a regular Proxmox install, right? Give the disk a few minutes to boot up. Wait for everything to initialize. So we now have the Proxmox Datacenter Manager installer pulled up here. You just go ahead and you scroll through it, hit I agree. When it comes to the hard disk option, I am a big fan of ZFS. Click OK. Choose your time zone, hit next. Set your password and your email address. All right. And then from here, you would also set your network configuration. So I do 192.168.193.2. Then when it comes to the host name, yeah, just leave that there. Hit next and install. So this install is going to take a few minutes. We'll check back in when it's done, and then we'll log into the web interface of Proxmox Datacenter Manager, add our cluster, and then add our third non-cluster host, and try the different features out, see what works and what doesn't. And we are back. Our data center is now ready to go. Let's go about configuring it. So now that Proxmox Data Center Manager is installed, what you want to do is actually go to the Data Center Manager interface, right? So go to the IP of it, enter your root account or your username and password. In my case, it's root. My password is my password. From there, you'll see we have a dashboard. Our dashboard includes remotes, virtual nodes, virtual machines, and Linux containers. As of right now, our dashboard is empty because we don't have anything to put in there. All right. So if you wanted to add something, or you wanted to add a node or a cluster, you'd go to remotes, add PVE, then get the IP address or the URL for your node. Then you paste that. And then you want to go back to the cluster interface again. Go back to the node you want to add. Click certificates. Right. In my case, I'm adding node 192. I'm adding node 2. So I have to go to PVE test 2. View the cert. Copy its fingerprint. And then paste and connect. And if everything works, you should see a connection. Okay. From there, you click next. You want to give it a remote ID. I'm going to call this PVE test 2. You want to enter the admin details for that remote. Then you want to choose your realm, which unless you've set up like Active Directory or something is going to be PAM. Then you want to give a token name and hit scan. And then next. On the next page, you'll notice we have 3 endpoints. One of those endpoints comes from the host we just added, so we should just be able to delete this. If you notice, the fingerprint on this matches the fingerprint on this. So what that means is that we can delete this topmost entry and hit next, and then hit done. I had to go back and change the host names to IP because I didn't want to sort out the DNS issues. All right, so you go back to remotes. Right, and when we go into remote, you'll notice even though this is called PVE test 2, we have 2 nodes here. One for PVE test and one for PVE test 2. All right, so with that, we've just added our cluster to Proxmox Data Center Manager. Now let's go back to our dashboard and see if anything's changed. Nothing's really changed. It says could reach all remotes. We can add another one. Hit notes, configuration. And then that's basically it. This is pretty straightforward. For right now, it looks like it just gives you a high-level overview of your nodes and cluster, right? Right now, it's showing us 2 nodes. One last thing I'm going to do is add a non-cluster node so you can kind of see how that works and what the future benefits of this is going to be. So I now have my 3rd node spun up. And what we're going to do is hop onto that, and then we're going to get it added to PVE Data Center Manager, right? So to access our 3rd node, we'll go 192. So I'm now logging into my 3rd node. And when we get logged into this 3rd node, you'll notice this 3rd node is not part of a cluster, while my other 2 nodes are. But even though this 3rd node is not part of a cluster, we should still be able to add it to PVE Data Center Manager. All you have to do is go to the node, go to certificates, view cert, copy the cert fingerprint, and then come back here. We'll add another remote. Then we'll add that fingerprint. We'll hit connect. We'll then hit connect, hit next. We'll call this PV test 3. Give this our standard username and password. Once again, your realm is PAM, unless you have AD or some other type of directory service set up. Hit scan, next. We choose our endpoint, which is 194.80.0.6. We hit next, and then we finish. As you can see, we now have this third node here. And underneath our remote, we now have 2 different nodes. And technically, these could be considered 2 different clusters, right? But now if we were to go to our dashboard, see it shows PV test 2, PV test 2, right? And let's see if we refresh. As you can see, we now have our server set up. And that's it, boys. That is how you install Proxmox Datacenter Manager and get your nodes added to it. And you can add either entire clusters by adding a single node in the cluster, or you can add just one node if you just want to manage one particular node in a cluster, or rather a single standalone Proxmox node. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Peace, guys. Enjoy your week.